A single mother who decided to go on a one-woman harassment campaign from her driveway. Her target? The family across the street. You'll see the tape. There's no denying what she did. But why she did it is the question. Here's Amy Robach.
The friendly sights and sounds of a neighborhood block party may seem typical. But make no mistake, what's happening here is nothing short of miraculous.
This is a great group of people in this neighborhood, but it's been a ghost town for years.
A close-knit community to a ghost town, all because of this woman. Lori Christensen, a local government employee. Greg and Kim Hoffman call her the neighbor from hell. But life in this idyllic Minneapolis suburb hasn't always been so toxic.
We were always very friendly. Kids would play with each other. Since she was a single mom, we would help her out with blowing her snow in the winter, things like that.
The Hoffmans say cordial turned to combative one day 5 years ago because of a spat over nail polish between their young daughters.
I didn't think it was that big a deal, so I just went over to Lori's and I said this was what had gone on, and immediately she pretty much went off on me. She was yelling and screaming.
She was screaming at you?
She was screaming at me.
Had she ever screamed at you before?
No, she had not, and I turned around and started to walk away.
But the Hoffmans were about to learn walking away from the wrath of Lori Christensen wouldn't be that simple. And just how vicious her attacks could get became clear when Kim, a recovering alcoholic, suffered a dangerous relapse.
Greg and my kids didn't know whether I was going to live.
Well, she collapsed in front of me.
She collapsed in front of you?
Yeah, and I had my son call 911. And I still remember standing in the garage, and I heard that paramedic say, you know, we can't get a pulse. So.
The commotion that day did not go unnoticed by Christensen, who soon used the traumatic incident against Kim during another outburst in front of her children.
She starts swearing at me. You know, you effing fat, whatever. You should have died. Why don't you drink some more scotch? And I had my two girls' hands, and I just squeezed them, and we kept walking in.
She saw that you had a weakness.
Yep.
And she went for it.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Yep. And it never stopped after that.
It never stopped.
Tensions got so high that police were now regular visitors to the once quiet neighborhood. And at first, apprehensive authorities didn't know who to believe.
It took quite a while for Kim and Greg Hoffman to convince me that this was not a he said, she said event.
Police Chief Lynn Banks needed proof of Christensen's ongoing harassment. For the Hoffmans, pressing record proved to be a game changer in this conflict on the cul-de-sac.
As they say, a picture's worth 1,000 words.
The videotape spoke for itself, and it supported what we were telling the police.
And that changed everything.
It started to change everything.
When the Hoffman's son Jake had a birthday party at home, the camera caught all of Christensen's antics.
The kids are out there shooting baskets, and Lori took out the remote control cars and was swerving, and I'm too drunk to drive.
She started calling me a son of an alcoholic in front of my friends, and it wasn't something my friends were aware of, so it was an embarrassing situation.
911, what's your
The Hoffmans called 911, but Christensen continued to thumb her nose at law enforcement.
It was obvious that Lori wasn't going to stop on our request, and there was going to have to be some more serious consequences for her.
In early 2010, the Hoffmans stopped engaging their nasty neighbor and went to court, obtaining a harassment restraining order that prohibited Christensen from having any contact with them.
To not respond to her when she was going after my kids was excruciatingly difficult.
Did you feel like you were trapped?
Absolutely.
Yes.
We were trapped.
That's just inexcusable. You're not allowed to drive another family into seclusion.
By the end of 2010, the Hoffmans say they were virtual prisoners inside their own home, relegated to the backyard out of fear of what Lori Christensen might do next. And as it turns out, they were right to be concerned, because just across the street, Christensen was already devising a new and very public way to torment them.
Every time I turned the corner to come down our street, I knew there was going to be something.
And something soon became 25-foot signs covering Christensen's garage with humiliating messages aimed directly at the Hoffmans. like "I saw mommy kissing a breathalyzer."
How often did she have signs up?
She'd put them up for a week. Maybe they'd be down the following day. And then if somebody came over to her house, they go back up.
That continued harassment, including this bizarre mock striptease, was a clear violation of the restraining order, escalating Christensen's charges to a felony and landing her in a county workhouse for 30 days.
Did you think this is it?
That's
it finally
yes.
ends
Yes.
now?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Finally, this is
Finally.
put to rest.
Yes.
This is over.
It wasn't.
Not even close.
Do you have anything at all to say?
If getting locked up didn't get Christensen's attention, local news media were about to.
I had a psychological evaluation. They said that if I were to have been a man, that this would not have been happening, but because I'm a single female, I have a very good job. I have the biggest house in the neighborhood.
Did you or your officers ever ask her why?
I'm sitting in my office across from me. I said, "Lori, why? Why can't you just stop this?" And she looked me right in the eye and said, "It's my lifelong goal to make these people's life miserable."
But miserable seemed to better describe Christensen's life. After continuing to disregard a judge's order to have no contact with the Hoffmans, this summer she was arrested again and charged with 3 more felony counts.
The so-called nightmare neighbor.
This isn't her first offense.
She's accused of the serial harassment of her neighbors.
Before she could even face those charges, though, a fed-up judge threw her in jail for 90 days for violating her probation. And she lost her government job. But most importantly for the Hoffmans, Christensen was banned from returning to her home.
She has to stay 1.5 miles away from her house in White Bear Lake.
So it's for sale.
It's for sale. If you're a bully, we're not going to let you act like that in this community. If you're just plain mean, there's going to be consequences.
Consequences that have left Christensen looking for new neighbors and facing a trial in October. She has pleaded not guilty. After 5 years, over 80 calls to police, almost 50 citations, and enough mugshots to fill a photo album, finally a victory for one family unwilling to be harassed at home.
So your long, hard fight, does it feel worth it now?
Absolutely.
Oh, yes.
People shouldn't have to get up and move or relocate because you have a neighbor that is making your life miserable. We took our neighborhood back.
If you're looking for some real estate, there's a nice house in White Bear Lake for sale. As Lori Christensen said, the biggest house on the block.